So this week I had an appendectomy, and this is the super dramatic story of the events leading up to my appendectomy. So I go to school in British Columbia in a town called Squamish, and I've been in pain for about 3.5 weeks. So I go into the doctor in Squamish, and he pokes around, does his doctor thing, and he's like, "So I don't think it's your appendix. I think you have an ovarian cyst that ruptured." And I'm sitting there like, that's not good. Ovarian cancer runs in my family. This is not good. And I'm like half freaking out. So I call my parents and I tell them. And they're half freaking out too. And the doctor tells me to call around and make an appointment for an ultrasound, because that'll tell me whether there actually is something wrong with my ovaries or not. And I call around and nowhere can get me in for like a month. And I'm sitting there like, I am not waiting around a fucking month to find out that I have cancer or something. Not okay with that. So my parents decide to fly me home. So I'm back in Colorado and I go into the doctor, and my doctor's like, "So it's possible that some of you have an ovarian cyst that ruptured, but your pain looks more like it's your appendix." And I was like, "Thanks, doctor in Squamish. You did such a great job of checking me out. You knew exactly what was wrong, right?" So I'm, feeling pretty bitter and, gross, because that's how I do, right? So they send me in for a CAT scan, because she's like, "Well, that'll tell me more whether something's wrong with your appendix or your ovaries. Like, it'll check everything out down there." I was like, "Okay, whatever." So they send me in for a CAT scan. The results come back. She calls me. She's like, "So, not only do you have fluid in your pelvis, which means you do have an ovarian cyst that ruptured, but your appendix is inflamed as well." And I'm like, "Really? Both things are wrong with me? Great. What do I do?" And she's like, "Well, your cyst already ruptured. There's not a whole lot we can do about that. Your body will take care of, the fluid and everything. Your appendix, we'll wait and see, because it's not actually, you're not in, danger right now of it rupturing or anything. If the pain gets any worse, go to the emergency room. But at this point, check in with me on Monday. We'll see what's going on. But your pain should be better this weekend." So it's the weekend. I'm waiting. My pain's not getting any better, but it's not getting any worse, really. It hurts a lot more if I move around, so I've just been, laying there. And, my parents finally have enough and decide to take me to the ER on Sunday. I go into the ER, and I'm sitting in the ER, and they do another CAT scan and put me on painkillers. And when they put me on the IV painkillers is when I realized exactly how much pain I'm in, because it turns out it's a lot. And the CAT scan results come back, and they come out and they're like, "There's nothing wrong with you. We don't know why you're in here." And I was like, "I'm in pain, that's why I'm in here. But there's nothing wrong with my CAT scan at all." They're like, "No, there's nothing wrong with your CAT scan." I'm like, "Thanks. You are a ton of help." So I go in and I see my regular doctor on Monday, and she sets me up with the general surgeon. She's like, "Well, obviously you're still in pain. There is something wrong with you." And he comes in and he's like, "Well, I've had a few cases where nothing looks like it's wrong with the person from a CAT scan, but I open them up and they're having an appendicitis attack. So we're going to take out your appendix anyway, and if you're still in pain after we take it out, then we know that it's not your appendix and we can just eliminate that, because you don't really need your appendix anyway. And hopefully that'll eliminate the pain." I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." And I start heading over to the operating room at the hospital, and I'm walking in the hospital doors, and my doctor comes running up and goes, "Stop! You're pregnant! You can't get surgery!" And I'm like, it's just my dad and I at this point. My mom's at work, and I'm like, no, I am not pregnant. And my dad's sitting there going, you're pregnant? And I'm like, no, 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 I am not pregnant. I know I'm not pregnant. And the doctor's like, actually, honey, I think you are pregnant. She takes me back to her office, and at this point I'm like crying because my dad's judging me, and there are 2 things in this world that will get me killed. 2, walking out in front of a moving bus, coming home and telling my father I'm pregnant. So I'm like, no, fuck that shit. I know I am not pregnant. And I'm like crying, and the general surgeon is talking to my dad, and it's like, well, if she is pregnant, then she's had radiation twice from the CAT scans, and that's really bad. And also she's been on IV painkillers and other painkillers, so that's like, you know, this is not good if she is pregnant. And I'm sitting there going, but I'm not pregnant. I know I'm not pregnant. My doctor's sitting there going, actually, you could be pregnant. It's what's called an ectopic pregnancy, and it means it's in your fallopian tube. And you'll still have normal cycles that way. And I'm like, I'm not pregnant. I know I'm not pregnant. Are you? I know. No, 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 no. So they send me over to the ER to do some more tests and blood work and stuff. And I'm in the ER, and I made my dad leave at this point because I can just feel like the knives coming out of his eyes and like stabbing me from his judgment, and it was horrible. My mom comes in and she's like, honey, at least if you're pregnant, then we can, you know, do something about it. We don't have to worry about it being something more serious. And I'm sitting there going, an ectopic pregnancy is pretty fucking serious. Plus, I know I'm not pregnant. And my mom's sitting there going, honey, at least it's this and not something else. And I'm sitting there going, I would rather have cancer. My dad can't judge me for having cancer. And my mom's like, honey, don't say that. And I'm like, I know it's horrible to say, but I really would. And I'm like bawling again. And the ER doctor comes back in and he goes, so your blood work came back, you're not pregnant. And I was like, I told you, bitch. I told all of you. I knew I wasn't pregnant, and none of y'all listened. So, of course, I'm super relieved. It's like rolling off of me in waves where I'm just like, but I'm still in pain. So they send me into the operating room, and I get my appendix removed, and I guess I was really nice and funny, and everybody laughed at me because I was making jokes while I was going under. Don't remember any of it. They took out my appendix, and now I have a really gross scar on my belly button. See? Yep. And nothing was wrong with my fallopian tubes. And I've been in bed for like a week, and on lots of painkillers. And I'm super bored, and I'm super excited to go back to school on Wednesday.